Welcome to the Leadership Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Jono White. I'm the founder and principal consultant of Clarity. We are an Australian-based consultancy that works with leaders around the world, and our passion is to invest in people to become everything they're meant to be in order to fill the world with healthy organizations that people love to work for and customers line up to buy from. The goal of this podcast is to invest in you and your leadership. If you're just joining us for the first time, then feel free to check out consultclarity.org. That's our website, consultclarity.org. We have so many free resources on there, the most popular being our 7 Questions on Leadership series. We've had more than 1,500 leaders from around the world in all different sectors give their in-depth answers on leadership, what books they love, what they found most challenging, the most meaningful stories, how they structure their time through the day. That's free, so go and check it out. And we'd love to interview you about your leadership. I believe you have advice from your experience, your context, and your life so far that is important and can help other leaders. It's also a great way to give back. It's free to get involved, and you can do so by going to consultclarity.org/7-questions-interest, or just Google consultclarity.org 7 questions interest and fill out the form that pops up. We have a free resource for you on our website. It's called Leadership Survival Guide. It's a 57-page ebook. It has interviews with 10 world-class leaders, and you can go to consultclarity.org. It's right at the top, and get that today. We also have a daily email that we send out to over 15,000 leaders, and that email contains the highlights, our best content from our podcasts, our blog, my book, the books that we're loving that are out there about leadership. It's also the best way to get access to our masterclasses and workshops before anyone else. And there's also exclusive and limited special options just for subscribers. And you can subscribe by going to consultclarity.org/subscribe. Now, my gift to you is to work incredibly hard to provide the best leadership content I can to invest in you and your leadership. So if you're finding our content helpful, if you find this podcast helpful, then your gift to me could be this. If you do find it helpful, then write a review or rate our content and make sure you subscribe or follow. I can't emphasize enough how helpful that is. It really does help us to get the word out there so we can invest in more leaders to become everything they're meant to be. It also means a lot to me personally when people like you and people in our community share our content on social media. So if you do that, then please do look for me, Jono White, to tag me, and look to tag Clarity on whatever platform you're on. And our team, including me, I'm always looking to see when people have mentioned us so that I can engage with you. And also we look at sharing content. So if you write something about something we've done, there's also a good chance we'll share that with our followers. So if you could do that, that is a massive, massive help as we try to invest in as many leaders as we can around the world. Last of all, you can check out my book about how to deal with difficult people even if you hate conflict. It's called Step Up or Step Out. It's available on Amazon. You can just look up Step Up or Step Out Jono White, or you can go to store.consultclarity.org/book and check it out there. I have coached leader after leader after leader, and in more than 50% of the sessions, this topic comes up. How do I deal with this person? I'm finding it really difficult, and I just want to find a way that doesn't blow up to just to have a difficult conversation, to lead them better. How do I do that? There's a 3-step process that I outline in this book that I believe can help you. Okay, let's get into today's episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast. Today's guest is Dr. Marcell Vollmer. Marcell is the Chief Executive Officer of Prospitalia Group. He's based in Frankfurt in Germany. Welcome to the podcast, Marcell.
Dono, many thanks for having me, and hello to everyone who is listening in. It's a great pleasure being here today.
First of all, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Tell us about what you do at Prospitalia Group and in your role as Chief Executive Officer, Marcell.
Absolutely. So Prospitalia is basically a combination of the names procurement and hospital. So what we do is a kind of Amazon-like marketplace, what we have for hospitals. So we are talking not about the standard goods and services what you buy. We are talking about medical equipment. That's what Prospitalia does. But the group has 6 businesses, and besides the marketplace for the hospitals, there's also one we have for everything related to canteens and food. We are not processing any physical goods, but basically we're connecting suppliers with the respective chefs in canteens on our marketplace. And we have one more, Vivibox, who is offering everything what a dentist needs. So this is the 3 businesses marketplaces what we have, and then we have 3 others. One is supply chain focused, H-Track, really being an integrated part of an OR, everything what is needed during an intervention, that you can automatically link it to procurement, to warehousing, as well as also to the reimbursement from the payers. The next company is Neuralytic, everything related to analytics in a hospital. And finally, we have with WMC a healthcare consulting company, which is also part of our Prospitalia portfolio. I know 6 businesses, a little bit lengthy explanation, and my role is leading the group of these 6 businesses and really looking forward, how can we become a healthcare performance partner for the respective areas to ensure that we really create high value for all.
Absolutely. Such an interesting group of businesses. Thank you for explaining that. Let's jump into your story, Marcell. I want to start with your childhood and growing up. Tell us about any of the moments that come to mind or even themes from your childhood that really shaped you into the person and the leader you are today.
Well, don't know how much time do we really have now. I don't want to extend it and make it too long, but I think growing up with my father and my mother, my father was a self-made entrepreneur leading a group of publishing businesses, and I had the chance to experience leadership firsthand from him. When I was a kid, and was calling around, and I remember first time where I was always very impressed. All the people with suits were visiting us and the meetings. This was basically a moment where I remember that I really was impressed about how is this going. And then later on I had a chance really to observe a little bit how my father and my mother are running the business until the age of, I would say, probably 13, 14, where I really started also in the summer to work a little bit in the company, get a little bit into the topic about how to sell books, how to evaluate also books from the quality they are made from, and understanding the business of reselling books, which was also part of the business. So this is definitely something which was very, which was for me a very personal experience in getting into the business. On the other side, also I learned a lot about from kindergarten to school. How does it really work that you can create a team and also be part of a team, because you're not a leader and just born as a leader. You basically start also just being a team member and understanding a little bit the social dynamics. How does it work? How can you create or build a friendship? How does it not work? That's also what you learn. I think these were definitely moments I remember very well. Giving me some experience and impressions about an early stage in forming myself. The time at a boarding school, as well as continuing then finishing my A-level in Hamburg, as well as the time in university were the next big steps, where I really could get more into the topic in really understanding how business works and how the team dynamics works, and also then starting in parallel to school, having a part-time job, leading afternoon shift at DHL in the city of Hamburg, and then later on moving on and starting my more professional career.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that about growing up. Can you remember, fast forwarding from there, one of your first significant leadership opportunities as you were growing older?
I think the first experience was definitely when I was very young and I just um, started my time at university to graduate, leading a team in the afternoon. And DHL is a courier business, it was an express business at this point in time, and really leading a team to ensure that everything works on the operational side, that we basically get all the express shipments done in time, and also ensure that we can work in a very time sensitive or with a time sensitive product, because there's a next day delivery. What DHL was prior to the acquisition by Deutsche Post, this is the time I'm talking about. So to be precise, 1989 was the time when I started, and 1990 when I really got into the topic, also having an opportunity to become a team lead in a part-time role. This was definitely a great experience for me because I was the youngest in the team, and I had a chance really to understand what is important, how do you need to engage with your team, with the different couriers you have, with the truck drivers, but also with customers, as well as suppliers. This was the very first experience what I had, and helped me a lot, really understanding how a certain portion of the business works. And I really felt comfortable in that. Not everything worked smoothly and well. Not everyone was happy about having such a young guy basically running, even if it was only a portion of the business in the afternoon hours. But basically, this was helping me also understanding how business works and getting into leadership. And then I evolved in different roles later on. But this was the very first start.
Yeah, it's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing about that first experience. What about mentors across your career, the people who have had the biggest influence on your leadership? Who comes to mind?
So I think I definitely would start with my father. That's number one. And then for me, it was always very impressive to learn from others, because I never was under the impression that I know everything better than others do. But I can learn from others how they are doing that. So I started very early. In the meetings I mentioned at the beginning, when my father was around, but later on also when senior leaders were around. How do they do that? How do they open a meeting? How do they start? How do they set an agenda? What is it really what they focus on? And for me, this was really something also what helped me a lot. And you can call it copy paste if you like. But at a starting point, I love doing that to really understand it. The same was also then. A lot was already in English. I was not as good as I'm now. I know I still have a very strong accent. Sorry for that. I lived 3 years in the United States, and you see, I very successfully failed getting rid of my strong German accent. Sorry for that. But basically, understand. Helping a little bit how others are doing that. How do they start something? For me, this was very important. And then, of course, over time, I had to build my own way and started my own way on how to do it, and how to use the experience I have learned, and also combine it then with what is important for me. This is really a curve of learning and experience, what I have done, and where I would say it helped me a lot really getting into a leadership role.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to hear you reflect. And I'm interested to know, Marcel. You mentioned your dad and how much of a role model he's been for you in leadership. Are there any stories that come to mind of your dad that really stand out in life or in leadership?
Oh, I think definitely what comes to my mind was when my dad was very unhappy with the situation in a fairly large warehouse where basically all the books were stored. And you really could feel a little bit the anger he had at this point in time. And then he asked his leadership team to come together, and it was a coincidence that I was around, and I was very young at this point in time, and I had a chance also by silently listening into that meeting, and um, I could really feel the anger he had in himself. But when he started the meeting, he was absolutely calm and very focused on facts, on figures, and just the observation, and gave a very clear task to the team to fix that. And come back in a fairly short time to present what is it what the team wants to do now and how do they want to fix it. And I asked him, and I was really wondering about it. Hey, wow, I really could feel the anger, but you were absolutely calm down. How could you do that? This was really something. And then he told me, look, if I would now share my anger with my team, this would probably have upset them and also led probably to more anger, which is definitely not a way in how to fix things. And this is something what I learned, where I thought, okay, wow. Even if it's getting really critical, and even if you are emotionally very angry, you better calm down and bring a very clear message to your team to get results done. This is one moment what reminded me really very well when I have seen my dad acting in that way. I've never seen this before, and therefore I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's incredible. What amazing self discipline he had in that moment to control his anger and then just be very aware of how he was coming across to his team. Marcell, in your career so far, can you think of any aha moments? What are those moments that come to mind where you learnt something for the first time, or there was a significant shift in your thinking about leadership?
I think at the beginning, when I got hired from DHL for a leadership role to build the first customer service center in Germany, to basically centralize the decentralized customer service unit at one place very near to Cologne. Monheim is the name of the city where we did that. I thought, hey, wow, exciting opportunity, and I thought it is very clear what the expectations are from the leadership team of DHL in Europe as well as in Germany to centralize all of that. And I thought, hey, everyone is aligned about what we want to do, and also that this was a very tough timeline what we had. But I had to learn that basically not everyone is necessarily aligned, and it is not that people have an intrinsic motivation to get the things done. And you need to ensure that when you want to lead something and when you are running a project with a very critical timeline, that this is really something where you need to ensure that you share a vision and really bring the people behind what you want to do. Was a similar situation later on when I got asked to integrate business objects when I joined SAP, and I was the integration lead for the business objects integration. At this point in time, a large acquisition, 6.5 billion acquisition with around 6,000 people, what this company was, a market leader for analytics. I could really transfer lots of these learnings and started right away that, hey, sharing a vision and really making clear to everyone what is it and why do we need to do this now, and how can also everyone contribute, and use the challenge on the one side as an opportunity to define the role and the jobs we want to do in the future. This this was definitely something where I learned a lot how important it is, and that's the reason why I always start with a vision and then translate this into a mission that everyone also knows and understands what is important and how we can achieve the ambitious goals we have, and ensure that everyone is in alignment. Sounds easy, but it's tougher than it sounds, and honestly, it doesn't work all the time smoothly. But basically, this is my best practice experience. What I can share, and hope this helps others as well, or others might have experienced something similar.
Absolutely. No, it's so good. And I think your advice there is going to be really helpful for people. Let me ask you about, I want to jump into Leadership Express and ask you a few of these questions. The first one, Marcell, what books do you regularly give to people, or you recommend them a lot? Any books that have been favorites for you?
Oh, I think books is definitely one topic. Even for my time when I was with my dad's business, and on the books I recommend is definitely Peter Drucker, where I've seen how important it is really to understand what leadership is and what it means. This is one author who impressed me very much. I would add, so it started with the practice of management. This was one of the first ones I remember, and I know it's pretty old at this point in time, but definitely one which is worth reading and understanding. Another one I would definitely see is, let me think about on Peter Drucker. I would also see that understanding what you can do to achieve results was something where I learned from innovation really to execution, and defining a strategy. What helped me a lot. There are much more I could mention, but yeah, let me know if I should go any deeper on that.
Yeah, no, please. I'd love to hear another recommendation.
Yeah, sure. So another recommendation was definitely for me, starting with something on the economic side, really understanding the principle of economics by Günter Böhe. This was a book. It helped me a lot, really understanding how does it work for marketing, sales, production. The introduction into economics was something what helped me a lot. But there's more also, and it's not only necessarily just the business books. It is also books from Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, where I learned and really how do you link his history with recent developments, and how can you really translate this? This is something what helped me to understand. There's also books, and of course, most books I'm reading are definitely more economic books, or less belletristic, I would say, but definitely also to use the fantasy and the creation. I love to read biographies. Steve Jobs, of course. How did he do that? Start your own business, getting fired, and then to restart it. And basically, fascinating when you see that. Wow, he got fired for something. He introduced the Apple Newton. Some might remember the PDA. Later on, he came back. He started something which was simpler than the Newton, the iPod, and then evolved it to something which was more advanced, but a lot similar like the Newton. This was definitely also something what was very impressive for me to understand. So from biography, you definitely, and it's a little bit streamlined, what you get there presented, but basically also going through the emotional side. This is definitely something helping to understand how decisions are made and also what at the end a great leader formed.
Yeah, that's thank you. I too love the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. Is that right? Yeah, just
Yes.
fantastic book. It's one of those books where I found myself laughing out loud just at his story and the things he said. And I mean, I just found it really interesting as someone who loves business and leadership. It was a fantastic read.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Okay, next question for you, Marcel. What is you're obviously working across your different group of companies in in the industry that you're in. I'm interested to know what problems or challenges are you seeing leaders face in your industry?
Well, I think at this point in time, when I look on a broader topic of supply chain procurement, I think it is not a big surprise that we see a big shift from negotiating the best price, what a priority in procurement when I was a chief procurement officer by myself on the SAP side, but also bringing this experience now to Prospitalia. There's a shift. It is no longer the price which really counts. It is now, due to the supply chain shortages, what we see and the challenges we have. Even the HEBA in Shanghai is still not 100% functional. I think they are back at a level of 90%. Basically, it has changed to more, how do we really get it? What are the substitutes we can use? And how can we ensure we get everything we need in time? This is a big shift, what I'm seeing right now. On the other side, the increase in prices, in energy cost, the logistics challenges what we have, the scarcity of truck drivers, for example, which is also impacting the supply chain, is definitely something which is currently on top of the mind of my team. How to help at the end. What a hospital does is helping patients, and therefore you need to ensure that when an urgent intervention is planned, that you really have everything available what is needed to treat a patient, and therefore it's a very critical job what we have to do, and where I really could see a shift now from price in getting deliveries in time to ensure that we can help patients in a hospital at the time when they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. This has been so much fun. Let me just ask you one more question as we start wrapping up, Marcel. If you could only ask or if you could only give, one piece of leadership advice to a young leader, what would you say to them?
Number one advice is start as early as possible, and if you fail, don't worry, but take your learnings and really develop yourself, and try to become a better leader in getting the experience. Without the experience, you can read Peter Drucker, what I mentioned. There are much more books on leadership. It doesn't help. You need to have the experience by yourself, so therefore start as early as possible. This would be the most important advice I could give a young leader.
Yeah, I love that advice. That's so good. For people who really want to find out more about you and about the group of companies you lead, how can people connect with you online, Marcel?
Well, feel free to connect with me on social media, on LinkedIn, Marcell Vollmer. You will find me there. And would be awesome if you follow me. And on Twitter, it is mvollmer1, which is my handle on Twitter. Feel free to connect, and I'm very active on social media. So looking forward seeing you there. And whenever you have a question, just ask me.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. Such a great episode with stories and wisdom from Dr. Marcell Vollmer. And don't forget, I also have the John O. White Leadership Podcast and the Leadership Question of the Day podcast. So you can go and check those out if you want to continue to grow in your leadership. But I want to finish today by saying a massive thank you to you, Marcel, for being so generous with your time and for sharing your wisdom with us. It's been a real joy to spend time with you. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Bruno, many thanks for having me. It was a great pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast as much as I did. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to check out consultclarity.org. That's our website, consultclarity.org. We have so many free resources on there, including our 7 Questions on Leadership series. We've had more than 1,500 leaders from all over the world in all different roles, in different industries, answer these 7 questions on leadership, and leaders give these in-depth answers around how they spend their time, a book that's been significant for them. It's just a gold mine. It's completely free to access, so go to consultclarity.org and look for that. We'd also love to interview you about your leadership. I believe your experience, your life, your context means that you have advice on leadership that other leaders can learn from. Yes, you, if you're going, not me, well, no, I really believe you would have something to add. So if you're looking for a way to give back, it's completely free to get involved. And we would love to interview you through the 7 Questions on Leadership. You just go to consultclarity.org/7-questions-interest, or Google consultclarity.org 7 questions interest and fill out the form and get involved. We have a free resource on our website called the Leadership Survival Guide. It's a 57-page ebook, 10 world-class leaders giving their thoughts on leadership, and that's completely free. It's available on our homepage, consultclarity.org, right at the top, so make sure you go and get that and download it today. And we have a free daily email that you can subscribe to. We send this out to over 15,000 leaders from around the world. And it contains the highlights of content from our podcasts, our blogs, our books we're reading. It's got the best content, and it gives you exclusive, limited, early access to our masterclasses, workshops, new products, special offers. It's all for our subscribers. You can go to consultclarity.org/subscribe and join 15,000 other leaders. And you know, my gift to you is to work really hard, particularly through the Leadership Conversations podcast. I have been blown away by the quality of the leaders, and I'm learning as much as anyone in doing these interviews. So I'm having a great time. And my gift to you is to keep lining up the best leaders I can to invest in your leadership. Your gift to me, if you're finding this helpful, there is something that you could do that would help us out massively. And that is to write a review and to leave a rating for our podcast or wherever you're watching or listening to this. I can't tell you how much that helps us out. Also, subscribe or follow. It really does make a difference in helping us to help more leaders become everything they're meant to be. Another thing that means a lot to me personally is when I see our community share our content. So if you do share this or any other piece of content on social media, then thank you, and please do that. And look for me, Jono White, or Clarity, and tag us in your post. Our team is always looking for posts to engage with from our community, and there's also a chance that we'll share your content to go beyond and share it with our followers. Last of all, you can check out my book. It's called Step Up or Step Out: How to Deal with Difficult People Even If You Hate Conflict. I wrote this book because 50% of the coaching sessions I have with leaders, this topic comes up again and again and again. And it's this idea of, how do I have this difficult conversation? How do I lead this person better when I'm finding them difficult? Or in some cases, you look and you say, I think I might be leading a difficult person. They're just quite difficult to lead, or I'm finding them quite difficult to lead. So there's a 3-step process that I unpack in Step Up or Step Out. And the amazing thing, and I've literally done this myself, and I've heard it anecdotally from other leaders as I've coached them, is that if you follow this process, you will see that person step up and change their behavior or make a decision, which is to step out some of the time. 95% of the time, people will step up or step out in just 4 weeks. And I stand by that. It's you have to read the book to understand, but I really do believe in it, and I've experienced it firsthand. It works. So you can go to Amazon, look up Step Up or Step Out Jono White, or store.consultclarity.org/book. Well, thank you so much for listening. We're going to be back with a new episode next time of the Leadership Conversations podcast. And I hope today has helped you to take another step towards becoming the leader you're meant to be. See you next time.